These folks not on patriarchy's response is without studying from these violence. My first response is we're saying you should never use violence as inherently patriarchal. My next response is non-patriarchal mindset is mentioned 85. Feminism must be a process of seeing broken the best people's looking for the worst and so we discover new ways of moving political government. Feminist traditions and version provide leadership to this and prevent patriarchal rulers destruction of the planet. My next response is going to be that violence is descriptively patriarchal indicates that the act of violence is patriarchal, not the cause of patriarchy. Bishop 89, violence means gaining change and eventually forces from a violent status quo. This can be practical to feminists, also be violently practical. Next response, political violence is patriarchal, swaying Karen 86, when the dominating controlling aggressive tendency for each individual to find themselves values starts their being the same attributes are present in the political economic arena. The result of society characterized by violence is results of patriarchy. In the case of the extension of patriarchy, it would be descriptive violent act. His next response to the government would not that feminism is not solvable for oppression. My first response here is no, we're not talking about feminist movement, we're talking about violence in society, right? We're talking about the violent feminist mindset. That's not all of which movement answers take now. My next response is that only feminism can solve for racism. Post 84 racism is fundamentally feminist issue because they're interconnected with sex suppression, the West philosophical foundations of racism and sex ideology is similar. Next response on patriarchy systems racism, 187, dominant form of imperialist masculinity is a strict monarchy and view of the world, clear speaking black one exception, social apartheid, and short, race is often considered a significant part of the definition of man. Next, racism, patriarchy, post 84, eradicating sex suppression support because of the primary contradiction based on all the questions, racism, feels class structure, sexism. Next, on patriarchy, always limiting racism, losing 77, requires to maintain male supremacy, matter weight, and those white supremacy, sexism may be more endemic north side racism. In the case of feeding the solvers step on case that can't get solved to be rid of patriarchy, his next response is they defeat their own goals and systems mindset, right? The feminist movement to defeat their own goals. This also applies to the 4th, 5th, and 6th answers to all of this, that women are working to get paid to get women's power, right? Our argument is we should not have a mindset of power and domination. Instead, we should all try to have modified human interaction. You get away from this mindset and make it legitimize it. His next response is sex domination culture. My first response here is above, right? We're telling you that violence is descriptively patriarchal, not causally. My next response is that on a simply perceptual level, you would not vote for them because they're legitimizing this as a value, and that's bad, right? You should not think that certain things like violence, which is patriarchal, are good, even if they come to certain ends. You should never legitimize this. And my next response is this precludes them ever getting solved because they might get a short-term answer, but they're never going to solve for the society which causes racism, and that's bad. His next response is movement to justice, elimination of values, and it's the same movement. His 10th, 11th response is deal with backlash. My first response here is that we're talking about a movement shift, right? I mean, a mindset shift. And because you don't get the backlash, because once people become less patriarchal, there's nothing making them backlash. The only backlash is about power, but we're getting the movement away from this, takes out backlash. His next response to the feminist support reaction and getting greater backlash is above. His next response to decreases of equality is above. We're telling you that we only with solving feminism can get racism because it's not women. This is talking about getting rid of the mindset which causes people to be unequal. His 16th response is increases threat substitutions better that feminists would be better option to use nonviolence. Grant, we're telling you should never use violence. There's always patriarchal. Instead, you should nonviolent action to get rid of the mindset. Instead, they legitimize this mindset, that's bad. Please go off the counterclaim. His first response is contention to make some sitting ducks. I'll cover that below. The second response is we can do both. His first response is no, they believe the struggle swung in 72 leaders of nonviolent campaigns come from the beginning of violence by their followers and the beginning of loss of struggle. It's just from the problem from a world of political conflict to military one. My next response is must be totally nonviolent. Swung in 72 if the movement is not supposed to be nonviolent, we treat it as the most violent part. Next response cannot do both. Richard Smoke in 87, their historical examples of failure of efforts to combine armed resistance and nonviolent resistance in general appears that violent and nonviolent methods each tend to undercut the effectiveness of the other, and this cannot be successfully mixed, not at least in the same geographical area. My next response is not reviewing the first, second, and third observations on competitiveness. The third one specifically is philosophically inconsistent, right? You cannot be a philosophically consistent movement and do both. The first and second, the first one says they're mutually exclusive. I cannot be mixed with violence and nonviolence, same time they certainly apply to movements, right? And the second one says never conventional. They're not going to get patriarchy with nonviolence. Off his third response, my first response here is that they don't demand violence. My second response, that they don't need to be violent to defend themselves, right? I mean, they can just leave the situation. My next response is that they're not going to get long-term solvency here, right? All they're going to get is a short-term solvency. We're giving you the patriarchy on the off-case observation, which gives you short-term, long-term solvency, change mindset. My next response is that nonviolence is better. Violence causes violence, homeless, and too much strays and violence cannot get away from it. Violence expresses the habits, implications, situations, political, social, and human, and habit cannot completely be broken. It simplifies relations with either completely, but not the other. Just so once you've repeated the other, you cannot adopt the action, you cannot, for example, start rational dialogue with him. Next response is application of nonviolence, Conan 71. Therefore, the movement of the honorable civil to be a special obligation to pursue the purpose and way without damage to property, and certainly that it looks as though we're serious harm and person. Next response destroys the intent to protest. Conan 71 long time around the intent to register protest with violence almost certainly less effective than deliberate nonviolent methods. Violence offers the protest its moral impact, reducing the actual level of another time in the streets where we're not against violence. Violent acts are lost in the crowd. Next response, violence escalates. In 1871, political authorities breaking down the business by growing the numbers of partisan groups as well as the authorities supports the agenda has exceeded the limits of acceptable action. perhaps deserving potentially at the expense of certain standards of legality and morality, who believes that the means of conflict must be limited, eroding the initiative of general escalation of violence becomes more and more likely. Next response, counterproductive, diverts public attention, 171, violence is inflammatory and ethically violent protests result in focusing public attention on the fact that some injury done rather than upon the reason for process needs to eliminate its causes. His next response is that self-defense is universally justified. My response here is nonviolence is universally applicable. Bowman in 86. Nonviolence is potentially a universal application due to the factual existence of all us having the same soul and same spiritual reality, intending to encompassing and overpassing all merely empirical or outer appearance. Next response, reasons why violence is never justified. Bowman in 86. If on the basis of our general moral given nonviolence, it's admitted that violence has an intrinsic moral justification aside from the extrinsic result of nonviolence equations of violence with evil, violence with force and war, provides two moral arguments and any possible justification arguments. Next, 6 and 7 8, please group first response here that part of the should take this out, right? Saying that you can use non-violence here. Next one, cross-play my argument that I just made up here on universality on the 6th card. Off his fifth response is non-violence political oppression. My first response is it's the only way to eliminate, right? Non-violence is the only limit. These cards are moving above and below. My next response is the second and third original cards on the pound plan show that it's the only way to change the mindset of your oppressors, and it is the only way you're going to get permanent effects. Dropping the 9th argument. He says individual standing alone. My first response is non-violence gets rid of repression. That's the done. My second response is you can convert oppressors. Repression of non-violent actions equals conversion of the oppressor. Sharpen 73. Even violent oppression appears less justified against non-violent people than when employed against violent positions. This reaction to oppression is especially likely when the opponent's policies of themselves are justified. That's why public opinion may turn against the opponent members of the own extent, and more or less passive members of the general grievance group may shift to firm repression. Next response turns oppressor's power against the sharpen 73 is an important part of the general process in which non-violent action combats oppression and brutality, the weakening the power position, the opponent obstruction of non-violent actions, and the workings of political judicial. Next response destroys political oppressor's ability to act. Sharpen 73 to be effective. Oppression must produce submission, but at times it does not. Oppression may be counteracted and forces started by non-violent actions, and outside of the opponent's control may reduce or destroy the ability to act. His next response on the first response is government sanctions genocide. The first response is that non-violence above children is the only way to do it. My second response is some naked patriarchy. Off case indicates that you never can solve this in a long-term range or short-term solvency. The next response is the card assumes that the government institutions are doing now things like the police, right? Certainly the legislature passing laws saying that we should kill all blacks. The next response is they cannot fiat attitudes, right? Violence is not going to make people all of a sudden go, oh gee, maybe we're wrong. My next response is that specifically the Abrams card, or the cards we're reading on cases talk about courts, say that the court is laden with the good old boy syndrome that hurts blacks. I mean, obviously violence is not, the cards we're reading about say that violence is the only way to change your opponent's oppressor, defeat the argument that violence is not going to change the mindset of the people on the court. Next response is that repression of non-violent action portrays the oppression as failing. Sharpen 73, the severe repression is directed against non-violent actions, who persist in the struggle with obvious courage and great cause. The action is persistent, but the opponent's claim he's acting to defend and liberate the people concerned, instead of seen as the opponent could not be obedient and supporting the basis of the marriage regime and its policies, and therefore in desperation comes to use submission by severe measures. Next response is that violence causes dissent within the oppressor's camp. Non-violence causes dissent within the oppressor's camp. Sharpen 73, violent repression of non-violent actions is far more likely to result in uneasiness and criticism of the opponent's camp than violent repression of violent actions. Clearly, non-violent action is the only way to go.
Let me do some triage for us, Kathleen.
You want to know what I read?
So, I want to take a look at your fourth card of the counter plan, my original third argument. It follows non-violence is better because violence begets violence. I think the tag is should equal non-violence.
Well, I believe this is the card you're thinking of, but I'm not positive. It's the bottom one, maybe?
Well, this is not argumentative, this is just inquiry.
I understand. I'm not sure what I read, though. I mean, I know what I read, but I don't know where I read it.
Okay, that's cool. More triage. Last block of arguments you read, second to last card. It's your sixth response, right after your analysis on courts or beds of violence as society.
Right, okay. The analysis behind these cards is that when nonviolent actions are repressed, that's good for the movement because it creates divisions within the oppressor, and so you get a...
Let's do some brush stroking. Violence will not effectively threaten the government. Violent movements won't threaten the government. They'll destroy the violent movement by itself. They'll
Well, I mean, arguments on a net beneficial level, you wouldn't do that anyway. But, I mean, I don't know that
Let's reapply it.
Okay.
Violence doesn't work as effectively to pressure the government as does nonviolence, according
It
to
might pressure the government, but it doesn't change the mindset, right? It doesn't change the fact that they're still going to be oppressive, they just will manifest in different ways.
Your argument is that violence eats its own children, and that nonviolence can change the government.
Right.
So violence doesn't work to change the underpinnings of society, while nonviolence can effectively pressure the government to do things they wouldn't normally do. Right?
I mean, this is what's something fed by the stuff you're reading that says in the civil rights movement violence work as of now. I mean, it
Patriarchy.
was short-term solutions, but not long-term.
I'm beginning to see some distinctions of the patriarchy argument. This is not just a feminist thought, this is slightly more to the left of that, right? I mean, it's
Right, it's not feminism, it's a feminist mindset.
Of the reading I've done on ecofeminism and some other things involved with the feminist movement, they are against the class distinctions that exist in society and the concept of rulers
They're
versus
against
rulers.
any time interaction between humans involves
They don't
power
like,
and
they don't like
domination.
rules, they don't like rulers versus rule, do they?
Well,
They're against passing
they're
laws.
just simply against the idea of power and domination, right?
You're running a counterplan on nonviolence, right? The counterplan says we will mandate violent action never be taken and that nonviolent action will be enforced to ensure that only nonviolent action will be used, right?
Enforced, no,
This is
all we say
initiated
is
by
that
you.
violence is bad.
Kathleen and Lance are initiating this counterplan, right?
I'm not sure I understand what I'm saying.
You're counterplanning
I mean, the counterplan
to
is
force
that-
people to do nonviolence regardless of whether that's their choice or not, right? They
Well,
don't
I
have
mean,
to.
I guess you could interpret that one.
Patriarchy says we hate the concept of class divisions which enforce rules from the
No,
oppressors
we
to the
hate
oppressed.
power and domination, that we should not attempt to be powerful.
Right, we shouldn't pass laws against people because that's a class division that's
Well,
artificial and reinforces patriarchy.
This is not a first level of passing laws, it's a first level of individual human interaction, right? When I talk to you, and of course that would literally apply other ways, but independently, when I speak to you or when I interact with you, I should not have a power mindset. I should.
Understood.
Okay, that's the first part I read you. Do you want that part?
Yeah. Is this new?
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.